Hallo, ich bin Christiane ARP. Ich sitze hier im Berliner Salon, aufgebaut im Kraftwerk in Berlin. Und mit mir Monika JAC und wir führen gleich das erste Gespräch in der Reihe Berliner Salon Talk. How did it happen that you started modeling when you were only 13, which is quite young age?
I think honestly it wouldn't probably be even possible at this point how the industry changed now. I started at 13 because I'm from a small town, and one of the girls that was friends with my sister went to Japan, and it became known between our friends that she left to Japan, and she was told and she signed with an agency. So she had a little adventure, and my sister basically told me, hey, why don't you try? You can also go somewhere fun. So I did, and it took away from there. I signed with an agency in Poland. I went to Paris for the first time, and something incredible happened there, because I went for a go-see with Hermes, with Peter Limburg, and I got hired as a 13-year-old for the campaign, and from then on the rest is history. I still finished my school, and then went on modeling.
But you never traveled alone, you told me, right? Until you were
no, luckily I was lucky enough that my agents were very careful with what I do at the age, which I'm very thankful for right now. I've been traveling with my mom or with my agent until I was 16, 17. Yes.
But you were still based in Poland, where you're from, which is your home country,
yes.
In this small town called Posen?
Yes, actually a smaller town called Puszczykowo next to Poznań.
Okay.
But yes, Poznań. I finished my high school there, and so I was basically working, I would say my prime time when I was still in high school, traveling a lot during the weekends or holidays, but yeah, very much focused still on school and finished my school there.
But you from the beginning, you started doing big shows and in Paris, in New York, right?
I was lucky enough, yeah. Paris I had to wait a little bit because I started doing shows at 15, which was at the time already illegal in Paris to work that young. So I did New York, I did my Calvin Klein exclusive there, and then I went on to Milan, and then the next year I would do the whole fashion show, yeah, Fashion Month.
Right now, models have to be 16 at least before they start to do the shows, and
I would say even preferably 18. I think
yeah.
At this point, a lot of the casting directors put a pressure on the 18, which I think is good, because honestly, from my experience, I mean, I only had good experiences, luckily, but I wish I would have been more developed as a person while I had the opportunities to work with the great people. So. To be 16 or to be 18, I think there's still quite a lot growing up in between that time. So I think it's a good move for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I think when I spend time in studios with you and your colleagues, I all the time had the feeling that it's so important that you know what you want and what you don't want.
Correct.
And that is to really say no is good when you have a certain age.
Yeah. I think for a woman overall, it takes a while until you kind of grow into the confidence and what you really want from your life. And I think as a 13, 15, 16-year-old, you're really unable to fully tell. So there's definitely been some decisions that were made for me, but I don't regret nothing. So I still think that I had an amazing start and I had amazing people taking care of me.
And then in 2013, you were invited to a casting for Victoria's Secret. And then you finally got a contract as well. It was not only the show, you became one of the Victoria's Secret angels,
yeah,
so-called, and were under contract until 2016. How was that, and how did it change your model life?
It was a whole new experience. I mean, going from catwalks and working in Paris a lot and doing Chanel contracts into Victoria's Secret, which is a whole different kind of work for a model because it's more commercial. It's also more public. I had no idea that the kind of exposure that I'm getting is so huge in US. And I was living at the time in New York, and to be recognized on the street in New York, it was a full new experience to me, because I always felt like what I was doing was very exclusive for people who are in the fashion industry. And then Victoria's Secret took it to another level. So yeah.
So you would say that changed your career as well?
It definitely did. And I think it was in a similar time that social media was also getting very strong. So it gave me this extra leverage of getting the followers and becoming a little bit more famous for being a model, which was at the time good. Good for not just commercial work, but also for the fashion industry.
We talked about confidence before. Did you grow up with confidence, or you became more confident over the years?
I mean, you know, when we talk about me doing modeling since I was 13, I was growing up in the modeling pretty much. So the modeling was such a big, I don't even know how to separate it now from before and after, because it's always been there. But it definitely gave me some confidence. I mean, I know my worth in the industry. I know my worth in, I know my place in the world for sure now, and I feel accomplished as a model. But I think every model will tell you that you question yourself way more with this job than you would do with anything else, because you're judged on your looks a lot. So that part is always going to be a little bit there.
Is it still there?
It is. It is. It's. I'm 27 years old now, and I have a child, and I feel very happy in my life. But for sure, if now, even today, getting a little bit of hair and makeup, I look at myself and I still try to judge myself, compare myself to when I was 16 or when I was doing other jobs, or what that reminds me of. So there's a little bit of that for sure.
You just mentioned that you have a little daughter. She's 1.5 years old right now, right? But you were on the May cover, the two of you were the cover stars of the May cover of Vogue Polska. Are you a well-known person in Poland? And was it important for you to be on the cover?
Yeah, it was. I was very happy to be on the cover of Vogue Poland. I think our little industry there is growing a lot, and I am honored to be a part of it. And I'm also really happy to know personally a lot of the people who work there, because I had my teenage years in Warsaw, and I just know them personally well. Yeah, it was also important because of the times that we're in. And I'm breastfeeding on the picture, which is, I think, unusual for fashion to show. And we actually took those pictures right before the lockdown. And things still felt normal. And I think to see this picture being on a cover and presented to everyone in Poland, maybe break some stigma around breastfeeding, because I don't think Poland is that very open for public places to breastfeed. It was very important. And talking about the famous, I would say I'm the right amount of famous in Poland. The one that nobody runs up to me in the street, which I'm really happy about, because I wouldn't like that, I think. But hopefully I'm known for the good things.
And of course, I think it's as you said, that's important. It's important for the industry as well. It's like Berliner Salon. It's a stage, and it's important to show and give opportunities. And as a well-known person, of course, you are the stage, and which I think is great if we all do that and where we feel at home. Huh?
Yeah, I think if you have a platform to show something that's a little bit more important than just selling something or clothes itself, you have to take every opportunity. And I hope that I've been doing that in last years. I'm really trying to always push a little bit of that in the fashion. And I think more and more people are aware of that, and it's getting there, and it's really good to see.
Same here, small steps, but they make a big step. Huh?
Right.
Did you have a master plan for your career? at a certain point, or
No, and
or you had helpers around you that?
Yeah, I think there are definitely people around me that had some plans for me, like my agents. But I think there is a bit of me that thinks that I was successful because I didn't have a master plan for myself. I kind of always went with the flow and how things worked out. I was ambitious, but I am ambitious. I don't know why I'm saying in past. I am ambitious always in what I do. But I also have the knowledge now that modeling is very unpredictable and it's depending on way too many people, and it's not up to you fully to do what you want to do or get the certain campaign or do the certain show. So I just take it as it is.
What was the reason for you and your husband? You live in Berlin right now, and your husband is the artist Branislav JANKIC. To leave New York and come to Europe?
Well, the first time I think I decided to move to New York, which was when I was probably 20, 21. I never thought of it as a place I'm going to stay in. So that was already always in my head that I'm kind of like the visitor, like I want to make my things there and then leave. My husband unfortunately wasn't thinking that way, so there was a little bit of convincing involved to move here. But I think the moment we decided to have a family, there was just no other way than come back to Europe. I think when you're born in Europe and you have all the support of the government and just the system, you're so used to the system, education and everything. Once you're in US, it's really hard to digest the fact that you don't have that given. So it was a big thing for me as a mother to provide my daughter with comfortable, safe life. And I think Germany offers that.
And Berlin.
And Berlin, obviously.
Well.
Berlin offers that. I mean, comparing to the space I live in now and the space that I could afford in New York, I mean, just that comfort. And today, when we spend so much time home, it matters a lot. And I just think that hopefully I'm doing the right thing and she will be happy here.
When we talked in preparation for our conversation here, you said when you're satisfied, you have to leave New York. Could you explain?
Well, I think there's two ways to leave New York. And when you live there, you understand that there's people who leave New York because they feel like they lost and they cannot do it anymore. Or there's people who leave at the right moment when they feel satisfied and they just move on to something else. And I think a healthy way is to do that. So the moment the city feels the best, that's when you leave. That's just something me and my husband talk about a lot. And I think with starting a family and he just finished his master's degree at the time, it was the right thing to do. And I think this year gave us a big confirmation that we did the right thing because of what's going on in the US and also how Germany is taking care of the people here during the Corona time. How we're able to sit here and do this. I think it's the big proof for me that we're in the right place.
But you still miss something about New York or your life?
I miss tons of things. Yeah. I miss my coffee every morning. I miss my food delivery in 15 minutes. But there are tiny things. I think as long as I'm here with my family and as long as we can develop our careers here, we will be good. So it's the city. I think everyone has a love and hate relationship with New York. There's never pure love. Exactly. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So it gets too much at some point, and that's when you have to leave. And with small baby, it definitely got there for me. And now a lot of my friends during the pandemic left too. So I don't know if we go back, I don't know how it's going to feel. Maybe we'll end up living there again. Who knows? I think today it's impossible to predict the future.
I didn't go for a long time, obviously. But all the time when I flew to New York, I was really excited and I loved it and I have a lot of friends there. But the knowledge that I have a ticket to go back also made me really happy. So I never had the feeling that I could live there, but I really loved being there.
Yeah,
so
I love to be in New York the best when I was living in Chicago. And I would go sometimes for jobs or like a week to see friends or something. And to visit, I went to the museums, I went to see some new movies and stuff. When I was living there, I didn't do any of that. So I think you take the best of the city when you're there to visit, for sure.
Why Berlin? Was it obvious for the two of you? Your husband grew up in Germany, right?
He spent his he basically did his school in Munich. So yeah, he speaks fluent German. Actually, when I met him, he was about to purchase a place in Berlin as an investment. And then later on, when we started talking about family, I was like, oh, this is actually perfect. My family is 3 hours away from here. Germany always seemed like a very stable country. I think one of the best systems in Europe. And there's still trust in the government. And I think a lot of countries are missing this right now. So yeah, it kind of, I don't know why. I mean, I honestly don't know why. If you ask me if I came here for a job, no. Did I come here to, I don't know, because I love the city so much? Probably also not. But I think it provides you with a very comfortable life.
What do you like best here?
What I like best here? I think that you don't have to be anything. That you don't have to introduce yourself and say, I do this. And I feel like New York got to the point when you meet somebody and the second question after how are you is, or what's your name, will be, what do you do? And I think Berlin, very rarely I get asked this question.
What is your biggest difference between your model life and your life today, being a mom?
That it's very still, which I enjoy a lot. But also there's a moments when I miss my freedom, a little bit of my alone time, traveling. I miss traveling a lot. So yeah, there's that. And I think the pandemic makes it extra hard because I was thinking that at this point I will be traveling again and doing some more jobs and get my career back going.
But when we talked, you said the same, and I had the same feeling. When I traveled as much as I did, or we did, then the traveling itself was the most relaxing part of the whole thing. Is it? Yeah, right? That is.
Yeah, I think the traveling, I enjoy because that's the only time I can really focus and have my cell phone off and be in a plane and either I sleep very well in the plane, so I miss that. But read a book or focus on thinking about future and things like that. Yeah.
But I can imagine also being a mom is a big it is a big responsibility, and the pressure is different than before. You lived with a schedule, more or less, so you knew exactly I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to go there. And right now, being a mom is a total different life as well that you share with a lot of your.
Yeah, it's been a lot for me in the last 2 years because, like you said, I first became the mom, then they lock us down in the apartments for the pandemic. So my life has changed tremendously. But with all the craziness that motherhood comes with, there's also things that I reflect way more about who I am and what I project into the world. And I think I haven't done enough of that before. Because now I think, okay, what do I want my daughter to see after? What is the interview that I'm doing? What do I want to say? So then later she can take something from this, she can learn, or she can be proud, or, you know, so I think the responsibility of what I'm saying, responsibility of what kind of jobs I'm doing.
And is that part of I think all our thinking? The pandemic changed a lot, I think, to how you reflect on life as well, right?
Correct. I mean, you yourself said that you also had a moment of reflection during these times. And I think this is what it's good for. I think a lot of people are finally realizing that maybe some things aren't as important as we thought they are, and we can live without them. And then it's good to focus on a personal life or personal development or your mental health. So it became more obvious of what's important, especially in this big corporate world that we live in right now.
You're still friends with some model colleagues? You said close friend is Frida Gustafsson?
Yes.
Is it because you shared a part of your life together and
yeah,
everybody, I mean, Frida knows how you feel? Is that the reason why?
I think it's still very relatable. I think there isn't so many people who have this kind of life and grew up the way we did and had to be grown up pretty fast. So yeah, for sure the girls who started with me and we were young and doing our shows, they can still relate a lot to the way I feel now. For example, how making big decisions in life now feels really hard, even though my age is, I'm not a teenager anymore, but it still kind of feels like I'm inexperienced in some parts of life because a lot of the decisions were made for me before. So by my agents or by the clients. So I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of empathy and a lot of sharing experiences where we can relate.
You mentioned before, you studied art in Chicago while your husband did his master's degree there. Mm-hmm. What are your future plans?
That's the biggest question. I would love to do something with art, for sure. And I think that's why also we're in Berlin, because I think it needs a lot of initiative here. There's tons and tons and tons of very creative people that don't have a place or don't have enough opportunities. So my plan is to give that to them, or try to give that to them. And I don't think I have details for you now what it's exactly going to be, but I think what you're doing right now is not, honestly, it's not far from what I would like to do later with creative people. Just give them a platform, even if it's just a space, something that they feel like Berlin is also theirs. Because for now, a lot of people create work here, but they don't really have enough places to show it.
Let me know when you start. I really can, yeah.
Okay, I would love that. Let's collaborate.
They need supporters like us. So, and where do you see yourself, your family in 10 years' time?
I don't know where. I think a place could be anywhere, but hopefully all healthy and happy and somehow accomplish in what we want to do, and just go with the plan that we have, which is develop our little brand as a family with my husband, and yeah, do something together. We're pretty good at being 24/7 together, so I think we can do a business together too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for being with me.
Thank you.